the battle between me and Livingstone. If you don't know who Livingstone is, Livingstone was a character in the ARL, the Animation Rap League, who caused me a whole lot of trouble, who was their tool for the running gag that I never improved and that I will be low tier as long as I don't listen to their rules. So here's what happened. So the very first season I went 3-1 and I only lost to Sabo Du, who was a mid tier and I was ranked low tier at the time. So what happened was I beat somebody in my own rank the very first time, and I destroyed them so bad that they needed to pay me up for another one. So I picked Sabo Du, who was a mid tier. So I was literally the best low tier at the time, but I could never rise the ranks because they kept on complaining that my flow was corny, that my flow was too bouncy, that I have great rhythm, but I don't have good emphasis on my punchlines, that I don't literally sound like actual battle rap, that yeah, it may sound good on a track, but come on man, we're hearing this shit a cappella and we think that your shit is corny as fuck. Even though I had creative punchlines. So the exact opposite happened when I had a side conversation with the only female member of the ARL. He's like, yo, I love your flow because it's really bouncy and it's really funny, and most of the shit you rap about is like really funny, and it was really cool coming from her perspective. But this is literally a league ran by a whole bunch of black people that act white, who accept their position in society, which is why I really didn't strive for it in the ARL. But here's what happened. So I lost to Sabo, and then I beat Livingstone. So I was beating him, and then they said, I want you to stop having that bouncy flow with Livingstone. I want you to stop literally going up and down too much. I want you to stop. I want you to create an entire different rhythm. I want you to switch up your emotion when you spit. I want you to do this and that. I want you to make it more tough, more rugged, more concrete, or else I am going to forever label you low tier. So it came down to I had to listen to them, and I had to take extra lessons. And so what I did was I had to change my entire thought process of how I write. So I kept the same punchlines, but I had to improve how I delivered them because they said that I had good flow for a track, but because it was battle rap, I had to make this shit sound more serious and not like a fucking club, because they keep on saying that it doesn't translate. Now the differences that I have to do is I come from the Bay Area where everybody says that my flow is sick as fuck, but they don't listen to E40. They listen to mainstream rap. And mainstream rap is way different from E40. So that's constructive criticism on paper, because that's why Bay Area rap doesn't reach out past California. And that's why when I'm facing everybody from all around the world, from Europe, from New York, from Philadelphia, they're like, his flow is fucking weird. Where does he get that from? But after literally going through the stages that I went through in high school, not pulling any girls, have every single girls literally understand my flow due to knowing what my music sounds like. Once they understood the music that I listened to, they felt bad way after the fact. So that's how I'm going to start off this video. And so I had this bouncy flow that sounded like E40, and I was a little bit like Slim Shady, but they found it corny because they didn't listen to the same rap that I did, and they can't imagine shit because they want everything to be straightforward. We'd rather you rap slow than rap like that, because we literally cannot understand where you get that from. So yeah, I was literally out of place at the time. So I beat Livingstone, and then I beat The Truth using the constructive criticism, and guess what? I believed them because it was more concrete. What happened is I had this battle with The Truth where I stopped, I became more aggressive, and I picked multiple fucking rhythms. What happened is I chose one thing, I paused it on Audacity, and then I delivered it a whole nother way, and then I paused it again, and that was a whole lot of work for one verse. Instead of being free, I literally had to like stop, use one rhythm, stop, do another rhythm, and they expect me to do that every time. So what happened was I beat Truth, and they were excited for my battle with Jones. So my battle with Jones came up, and they said I lost to Jones because they said I went back to my old style. And that was only partially true. What happened was I didn't do the same shit on Audacity that I did. What I did was I copied the same formula, but I did it by second nature. I started to rap a little bit faster. They're like, no, you have to slow it down again. We do not want you to go to that corny flow at all. We don't want you to sound like this or that. We want you to be straightforward. We want you to be concrete, just like the Mihawks here. So season 3 came along, and they didn't upload my battle with Jones, which really made me mid-tier because the fan base is a little bit more understanding than the judges. But because what I did was I did the corny flow that they said was corny in bits and pieces, but then I went back to their aggressive style. They're like, nope, we don't want to hear that shit at all. So Livingstone came up and I was trying to act hard literally because I just had my second date with Abby. Literally, I went to this new league called DCE where I inked with this guy named Travis, where I did this and that, where literally, and DCE had a bad reputation for not taking the ARL's constructive criticism. And Bushido, going to school for graphic and design, literally had more followers and literally, so everything that they said was backed up in their actions in the form of being gay, but it wasn't too gay on paper. The season 3 battles were so fucking watered down compared to the season 2 battles, but it didn't matter because, you know, what happened was this, is I talked to Livingstone off screen, and I started yelling at him through the fucking mic. It's like, Riz, Sabo bodied you. I'm like, shut the fuck up, this and that. I don't give a fuck if you with your family, bitch. I'll make you cry in front of your family, bitch. And literally, so Livingstone literally just came back in the chat, and literally his mic was on mute. And he came back literally laughing with a whole bunch of the emojis. Literally, he told me before, like, your emotions are the reason why you don't really know how to roast. And so he was on mute at the time, but the season before that, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of perspective before I go into the rivalry between me and Livingstone. Because this is going to be a very long video, a very long explanation to why I was never anything in the era, where I never got the majority of the comments on my side. But when I did improve, they kept on saying, yo, you improved one time and then you stopped because you literally did your own thing. You can't trust your own judgment with these battles. You have to listen to us, literally, this and that. And so Livingstone backed it up with his actions by laughing at my literally threatening attempts because it was filled with emotion. If you guys don't know how to roast, it means you have to roast with composure and swagger and stuff like that. And literally, you cannot roast with emotion. That means that they win by default. Even if you hit them with facts, they win by default. Like, there was literally this one time where I faced Sabo. Sabo's like, ha ha ha, you're a little bitch, Riz. I'm like, hold up, I have way more creative punchlines. This and that, like, shut the fuck up, Sabo, kiss my feet. I'm literally the only reason why you came out. Everybody would have told you a little bitch. That straw hat line eated you. That literally, that Mexican line eated you. This and that. I was hitting them with facts on top of facts on top of facts. And literally, but I was saying it in emotion. It looked like I was about to cry. I didn't deliver it because I didn't have a masculine voice back then like I did today. Imagine Mickey Mouse saying that shit, saying all those fucking facts. Literally, I have way more creative punchlines. Literally, this and that. And he wasn't taking it seriously, but Sabo knows if that was a real fight, I would have knocked him the fuck out. And he kept on literally calm, cool, and collect. I'm literally, shut the fuck up, Sabo. I'm the only reason why you came up. He's like, Riz. I'm like, literally, shut the fuck up, Sabo. No. Let me talk, you stupid ass motherfucker. And literally, my squeaky ass voice wasn't intimidating anybody, but my facts were. My facts were intimidating him, but not my squeaky ass voice. That's when you literally need to learn how to be threatening. And you need to back it up. You can't literally sound like a little bitch and state facts. Because nobody's gonna fucking believe you, even if it's true, and that's how society works, and that's how the world works, and that's why you have to work out. You have to have stronger vocal ability. You have to train hard in order for that shit to happen. So what happened with Livingstone was this. So I beat him one time, and so season 3 came along, and so I tested Livingstone after I lose to Black and Chaos, after I literally, nobody's on my side, and nobody's like this and that. So here's what happens. So there's this guy named Travis who I bodied back in the other league of DCE. Literally, I destroyed Travis when he was a newbie. So season 3 came along and they're like, oh, that Jones battle was a long time ago. So here's what happened. Travis had this battle with Leo, and Leo literally came through and did everything that people said that I couldn't do. Literally had a more aggressive flow, had this and that. Even though I was way more creative, he literally had a better first impression than them. Even though I had an outstanding debut, I lost my debut battle, and Leo won his debut battle, and he also had a battle with a little bit more perspective. What happened was this. They had a cut clean battle with no questions, no, difficulties, understanding. It was Rock Lee versus Kisame. They had a battle within the same anime. A mainstream anime, the most popular anime, so there was no fucking confusion, no nothing for the judges and shit like that. So literally me versus me picking all these miscellaneous characters from Soul Eater, Fairy Tail, all these miscellaneous anime, taking advantage of how multi-dimensional anime is when literally they literally did not take a risk with that battle with Leo. Kisame versus God, that is mainstream and basic as fuck, but it worked into their favor because they understand every fucking reference, they understand what the characters are talking about, and there was no fucking risk involved. It was straightforward, and they tried to tell me that shit. So what happened was this. So Travis, even though I bodied him, even though he lost to Livingstone, they all dick rode Travis because Travis was more surprised. Literally, what happened was this. So Travis came back with punchline after punchline after punchline. I matched Leo's punchlines, and Leo barely beat Travis. And literally, Travis got so much of praise, and Travis got shitload of perspective. They praised him for losing, but they praised him for losing where a good fight. And that was literally what I wanted. I wanted that praise, and I was always envious of what Travis did. So literally, this is when the devil got in my fucking head the most. So literally, Bushido said, I hope you come with something new, because what Travis did was they used Travis as the excuse, because Travis actually has a voice problem. Travis has a squeaky voice that's always permanent, but he did a lot more with it in their eyes, because what he did was he took their constructive criticism and he went all out. He literally went as aggressive as possible. He did everything. He had undeniable punchlines that were creative, but they weren't fucking shit compared to my past battles. But they were, because they were more surprising, and they were coming from somebody who they didn't think could do shit. So it was way more surprised when Travis says, oh, I'll get your mom's gates and stuff like that. So everybody was fucking rolling off of Travis's punchlines, and Travis got support, and Travis got all their perspective. Oh, it doesn't matter if you won. You gave him the best shot. We like the way that you're flowing. And they said that Travis made a major improvement while I stayed the same. So here's what happened. So literally, Bushido got on my ass. It's like, you've been in this for a year, and Travis already gave us more perspective than your battles ever did. Travis made us imagine shit where your shit is just dry and this and that. Travis made sure that he looked like he was fighting that entire match. You sounded lightweight, lazy with black sometimes. Sometimes you took risks that we told you not to do. You went extra bouncing when we told you not to, and Travis didn't do any of that shit. And so Livingstone backed it up. So I tried telling Livingstone, fuck off, you know. So Healy, like this. So Livingstone's like, Riz, I want to do this to you. So he's like, Riz, shut your ugly ass up. I'm like, bitch, I'm far from ugly. So what he did was he took a screenshot of me with my tongue out, literally with an awkward position of my lips. Literally, he took a video of mine, and he literally shot the worst position, the worst angle to make me look ugly. And I fucking believed it. He's like, oh, well, you look like this. And he posted it up, and he started roasting the fuck out of me. Like, how the fuck did that nigga I bodied in season 1 be able to roast so quickly? I'm like, bitch, I'm about to fight you. He's like, Riz, your karate classes at the YMCA won't do shit. I'm like, really? Come see me. He's like, oh yeah, well, you're going to end up running at that point. Run, Forrest, run. Everything that I thought was hard was 10 times harder, and guess what? There were stitches in my arm at the time where he was roasting me. This was literally at the time where God's like, I don't feel sorry for you, but it was God, but it wasn't God in that context. This is the devil's world, and the devil is getting my ass. Oh, you think your suicide attempts are the reason why we're going to go easy on you? It's easy if you kill yourself, because that way you have the easy ticket out. We're going to give you something that we don't give a fuck about how hard you have it. We're going to put you through the most shit, because if you die, you win. I'm going to hit you emotionally, because that's where it really matters. And every single time I tried to cat back on Livingstone, he proved this point that I was too emotional, that I didn't even know how to roast correctly. And every single roast sounded fucking gruesome. I'm like, man, you look like fucking Uber Akari. And Uber Akari is a guy that was known for deep throating a dildo on YouTube. And he's like, man, you look like Forever. And Forever is known for having a gap on YouTube. And he made fun of my fucking gap, and he came back fucking instantly. I'm like, where the fuck did he get this power from? There was literally a guy named Trayvon that was literally diagnosed retarded in the chat. He's like, Riz, Trayvon can beat your ass. Come on. You see? The devil is like, you see? It's mental pain that hurts way more than physical pain. You need to learn how to conduct yourself, or else you'll never get happy. I'm like, well, at least I can pull a girl. I'm like, you're a prom date with Down syndrome. He's like, oh, really? You're the one who's handicapped, but instead of being in a wheelchair, you're half a man. Oh! And so I get him in a private chat, and so he posted how I was trying to fight him in a private chat between me and him. And so he posted that in the chat. He's like, look, he's still going. And then he's like, Riz, I can see why that fat bitch left you. She needs a real man. Maybe if you were more mature, you wouldn't drag this on. This is at a time where I'm not getting better. This is at a time where literally Travis is getting tons of praise for that perspective battle, and I literally don't improve at fucking all. And literally, because I'm depressed, every fucking thing happened to me that year, and literally, I literally had to give up on the arrow, and so instead of literally doing what Travis did, improving the wrong, and practicing what the fuck they told me to do, practicing on my aggression, making even more flows, I immediately posted my private life in the chat, like, oh, I'm dating this girl who's playing me and this and that. Instead of when the going got tough, I didn't get tougher, but in actuality, they manipulated that entire situation. That is not a coincidence. The guy I roasted in the previous season all of a sudden came back with the fucking hood nigga roast, like, you ain't shit in real life. So when I tested him, when I talked to him on the phone, he never fucking roast me. And I already stated before, what happened was, this was me, who I was as a person, when I needed to learn how to improve, because I roasted Philly Boy out 8 the previous year, but I had help from the extremist Steezo in the private chat. What happened was, I figured out when I was older, the reason why he had that power up is the same reason I had mine against Philly. I had help from other people, and so did he. But he kept his side consistent, but he was on mute when he sent me those messages with all those laughing emojis like, you ain't shit. And so the perspective got even fucking worse. At the time, I didn't know what was going on, but it was literally at the time where I just pulled Bella. It was at the time where Abby wasn't texting me back, so everything was consistent for the wrong fucking reason. They made sure there was a storyline to keep up that I wasn't improving at all. I was really improving at everything in life, but the problem was I was depressed. I didn't have enough motivation. I was getting ducked by Sabo. I didn't have my rematch with Sabo, and imagine that. All those roasts with Livingstone wouldn't have been shit if I would have finally had the motivation with Sabo. They always gave me a battle with no fucking motivation. Like Black and Chaos. He's the best in the league. Of course I'm going to lose. But if I would have had my rematch with Sabo, I would have proved them wrong already. And they already knew that. So Travis has this off-screen battle with this guy named Kareem, who was a newcomer. So Travis did everything that I literally couldn't do at the time because I was depressed. He had great wordplay when Travis was literally known for being the kid with the common cold who couldn't even have wordplay, who couldn't have complex flows, who couldn't have this and that. All he knew how to do was have punchlines. So what happened was this. So he chose this guy from Bleach. And if you know, there's a black character in Bleach named Kaname Tosin. And so Travis had this one wordplay, literally, all my brands come from Allstate. I'll keep you in the Allstate. Motherfucker, run up on me and you get fucked up in all states. And literally, I was so surprised because I never knew Travis had wordplay. And Tosin is a black guy with dreads. He's like, my dick longer than Tosin. I was playing Raw Giku's pussy. She told me to put my toes in. And literally, this was all season 3. He had so much fucking development. They all pointed the figure at me like, you haven't fucking changed a bit. But get this. The craziest part about that was the only battle that Travis won. That was his first win, and everybody was dick riding him where I went 3-1 in the first season. So imagine that for perspective. And they didn't up on my battle with Jones. They didn't let me have my rematch with Sabo. But I forever had the reputation of being low tier because I did succumb to their rules. And I didn't literally suck no dick. And that's where I realized what happened in the future. You have to suck dick behind the scenes, but you have to be the shit in public. They had many other private chats where they were literally thinking about ways to bring me down so I can't fucking see it, so I can't come back. You understand that that's how people operate in real life. But I'm going to put it like this. I don't doubt those people for doing that because that gives them a chance to live. That's all that Livingstone has, was the ARL. That's all he had at the time. And I was trying to get with Abby. I was trying to literally upgrade my personal life while trying to deal with the ARL, and I just couldn't do that, and that was impossible. And I realized that that is a league where you literally have to concentrate on top of concentrate, and that's how Sabo and all of them rose up in ranks because they focused on the ARL and nothing else other than that. So it came to this. When I went to the group home and I learned that pussy was more important to them than actual league, because when I finally lost my virginity, I realized that literally this ARL shit is way more intellectual than these bitches that only care about my dick and nothing else. And I was so excited to go back in the ARL, and then I realized that once I got pussy, I was definitely never going to be in their league ever again. So Livingstone becomes the star of season 4, literally backing up with his statements that literally that's him. And even though I'm roasting Livingstone consistently, even though I'm doing this and that, Livingstone has the illusion that he went to college and that he went to this and that he was literally paying the fucking bills when I called Livingstone out on stalking me in California, which is what he was doing. But it doesn't matter because it's online and it was impossible for me to prove it at the time. But I wasn't scared of Livingstone. I knew I improved season 4. I even messaged him after I heard that he beat Joey in a battle. So I'm all like, yo, I'll put it like this. I messaged him after he got better. Knowing that I beat him before, I'm like, I heard you got better. I'm looking forward to our rematch. He's like, I'm not ever dialing you ever. So you squares, you nerds who don't want to put 2 and 2 together, that means I know you got better, but I'm not going to put myself in that position. I'm going to make sure you stay in that position. And so once I became a cosplay superstar, I'm like, how are these guys still thinking that they can clown on me? Literally doing this and that while I literally proved to them that I'm better in real life. And that's not the point of the chat. And I realized that when I was older that they kept that running gag because they had numbers and I didn't. They were able to survive and I wasn't. And I realized that after literally I lost my virginity and I wasn't a full-on anime square anymore, that they were still the same thing and they were still talking consistent shit and they could still catch me off guard and talking shit, but I was way better than them at life. But it came down to this, is like, do not knock that strategy. I don't like Livingstone, but that strategy is how you survive at life. So please do not go overboard. When people are cowardly like that, they get so many benefits in society, it's not even fucking funny. But here's the thing. So basically, I kept on trying to tell Livingstone, you fucking suck, you fucking suck. And they couldn't argue with me once I put bitches in their face. Once I saw how much I was backing, once they started, like, they kept silent. But afterwards, they kept on roasting me in multidimensionality. And that's the same game that so many people played on me in society. I tried clowning on Livingstone, but because he was a coward and because he stuck in the ARL cave, he had too much to fall back on. But the reality was smacking him. The reality was doing this and that. There was one time where he was kind of like my homie, where literally there was this time where Jordan got into the chat and she started talking to ARL members on how to make me a bandwidth provider. So basically, Livingstone talks to me after I get off my job at 7-Eleven, and he's like, so, do you have, you know, hype for the next season of My Hero Academia? Because Jordan loves My Hero Academia, and I put 2 and 2 together, and Livingstone knows I'm nowhere near autistic, but he still makes fun of me for being autistic this day. Even when I roast him back, he has literally so much to fall back on. No matter how much I improved that life, he always had the ARL to fall back on. And that's literally how you make a living. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. You have to adapt to the fact that when you're a coward, you get specific benefits in life. So I don't support, you know, Livingstone, but I understand why it survived. Like, I'm hitting him with all this perspective of real life. How the fuck does he still think that he can roast me, even though I'm coming back every single time? Because he always has the reputation to fall back on. That's just like Diamante, when he had the audacity to try to get at me, but he knows that he can't do it when I have a full deck. He always has his foundation of how he was the most popular guy in my high school to fall back on. They always have that. Even my brother was delusional to that shit. That's why he attacked me for being a special ed after I was getting all those fucking bitches. Lily, you remember that roast that he thought he got on me? And that I ignored it and I went home, I got some pay and ignored that shit ever happened? He still has a foundation, I don't. So God got in my head because I was at the dance floor and literally there was this guy that I was about to battle on the dance floor. And so I talked to my brother, he's like, oh yeah, this ball Greek for that nigga. And so like in my mind, I'm like, dude, he's a mark. And so God's like, yeah, he might be a mark, but he has tons of friends that use him, but he uses them back. So all those luxuries come from him giving them a gift. So it's kind of like it's give and exchange and everything all evens out. But if you're selfish, if you keep asking for something in return, you're forever going to be alone, is what God tried to tell me. But he said it in the nicest way possible. But that's the way that people think in this world. I'm sorry, but that's the fucking truth. My brother had multiple jobs from punching down. It's the fucking truth in this world. And no matter how much the icons on Livingstone, he always was fucking cocky. There was this one time where I called him out trying to stalk my girl, and he literally couldn't argue with it, but he still has the air rail to fall back on. And that's literally how you make it. I'm sorry, but that is the fucking truth. This is what this society has become, and you know what? I can't blame him because I wish I had that foundation to fall back on. The foundation I fall back on is real, and it's not stable because literally I have to fight a whole bunch of fake people in order to get it. And I'm sorry, I realized the truth when literally at the time where I gained something due to earning it right versus gaslighting and getting it, you know, wrong, but not wrong on paper. And that's the thing that he always has something to fall back on. I want you guys to understand that that's how you make it in life, in this world. But, you know, I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying it's a cruel fucking world. Just like you have to ignore a girl's bullshit sometimes in order to get the pussy, that is literally the same fucking formula. You fucking ignore how much of a coward you are and realize that you are gaining an empire after all this shit. So literally, no matter how much I hit Livingstone out of life, he always has a cushion to fall back on. I don't approve of that strategy, but I have to tell you, you can use that strategy if you want. That actually works in real life. I'm sorry to say, but it's true. It's a cruel world. But that's why we can't let that stay the same.